Every door that slammed in your face was locked from the inside by someone who saw what was behind it. Let me tell you a story. In a small coastal town where fishing boats returned each evening and church bells marked the passing hours, there lived a woman named Sarah. She was 34 years old, with kind eyes that held a sadness she tried to hide from the world. Sarah worked at the town's only bakery, waking before dawn to knead dough and arrange pastries in the window. She smiled at customers, remembered their names, asked about their children. Everyone in town loved Sarah, but every night she returned to an empty apartment above the bakery, where silence greeted her like an unwelcome guest. Perhaps you know this feeling, the weight of coming home to no one, the echo of your own footsteps, the questions that haunt you in the dark. Sarah kept a wooden box beneath her bed. Inside were letters, photographs, and memories of 3 relationships that had ended, 3 men she had loved, 3 doors that had closed in her face. The first was Michael, her college sweetheart, who left without explanation. The second was James, who promised forever but chose someone else. The third was David, who simply stopped calling one winter and never returned. Each rejection had carved something out of her. Each closed door had convinced her of the same terrible truth. Something was wrong with her. She was not enough. On quiet nights, she would sometimes open that box and read the old letters, searching for clues. What had she done wrong? What was missing in her? Why did God keep slamming doors in her face while opening them so easily for everyone else? The shame sat heavy in her chest, like a stone she could never quite put down. One autumn afternoon, Sarah's grandmother came to visit. Grandmother Rose was 83 years old, with silver hair and hands that had known decades of hard work and gentle love. She had buried a husband, raised 5 children, and carried wisdom that only comes from a long life fully lived. She found Sarah sitting in the small kitchen, staring at a wedding invitation, another friend getting married, another celebration Sarah would attend alone. Smiling through the ache, Grandmother Rose sat down slowly across from her granddaughter. She noticed the wooden box sitting open on the table, the letters scattered like fallen leaves. "You keep these?" she asked softly. Sarah nodded, her eyes filling with tears she had held back for months. "I keep trying to understand what I did wrong. 3 times, Grandmother. 3 times I gave my heart, and 3 times God slammed the door. Am I being punished? Is there something broken in me that I cannot see?" Grandmother Rose reached across the table and held Sarah's trembling hands. She was quiet for a long moment, her eyes distant, as if looking at something far away. "Child, may I tell you something I have never told anyone?" Sarah looked up, surprised by the weight in her grandmother's voice. "When I was your age, I was engaged to a man before your grandfather. His name was Thomas. Oh, how I loved him. I thought he was my destiny." Grandmother Rose paused, her voice softening. "But 1 month before our wedding, he broke it off. Gave no reason. I was devastated. I thought God had abandoned me." Sarah stared at her grandmother. She had never heard this story before. "Then there was another man, Richard. We courted for 2 years. I was certain he would propose. Instead, he married my best friend." Grandmother Rose smiled sadly. "I cursed God that night. I told him I would never forgive him for the doors he kept closing." "What happened?" Sarah whispered. "A year later, I met your grandfather at a town gathering. He was not what I had imagined. Not as handsome as Thomas, not as charming as Richard. But there was something true in him, something solid and lasting." Grandmother Rose squeezed Sarah's hands tighter. "We were married 53 years. He gave me 5 children, 18 grandchildren, and a love so deep it still lives in me even though he is gone. Your grandfather was the door God was protecting all along." Sarah felt something shift in her chest, but the old doubt still whispered, "But how do you know those other doors were not mistakes? Maybe if you had tried harder or waited longer." Grandmother Rose shook her head slowly. She reached for the scattered letters on the table. "May I?" she asked. Sarah nodded. The old woman picked up a photograph of Michael, your first love, the one who left without explanation. She studied the image for a moment. "Did you know I saw him 5 years ago in the city? He has been divorced 3 times. His children do not speak to him. He carries a bitterness that would have poisoned your gentle heart." Sarah's breath caught. Grandmother Rose picked up another photograph. "James, the one who chose someone else." She was quiet for a moment. "His wife comes to the church meetings sometimes. She cries when she thinks no one is watching. He has not been kind to her. The life you imagined with him was never the life he had to give." Tears began streaming down Sarah's face. Finally, Grandmother Rose held up the last photograph. "David, this one, I do not know. But child, I know this. Every door that closed was not rejection. It was protection. Those doors were locked from the inside, by someone who could see what was behind them. Sarah broke down, years of held pain finally releasing. Her grandmother moved to hold her, weathered hands stroking her hair. "You have been asking the wrong question all this time," Grandmother Rose whispered. "You keep asking what is wrong with you. The real question is, what has God been protecting you from? What future heartbreak has He already carried so you would not have to?" That evening, Sarah sat alone on the small balcony above the bakery, watching the fishing boats return to harbor. The wooden box sat beside her, but for the first time, she saw it differently. Not a box of failures, a box of rescues. Each closed door was not evidence that she was unworthy of love. Each closed door was proof that she was worth protecting. She thought about all the nights she had cried herself to sleep, begging God to explain His silence. Now she wondered if His silence had been His loudest answer all along. Sometimes protection does not look like open doors and answered prayers. Sometimes protection looks like rejection, like unanswered messages, like the devastating silence of someone walking away. Perhaps you are watching this tonight with your own box of closed doors, your own collection of rejections that have convinced you something is wrong with you, your own questions for a God who seems to keep saying no. What if those closed doors were never rejection at all? What if every no was protection? What if every ending was a rescue? What if God has been locking doors from the inside because He alone can see what waits behind them? You are not unloved. You are not forgotten. You are not broken beyond repair. You are being protected by someone who sees further down the road than you ever could. The doors that closed were never punishment. They were mercy dressed in disappointment. And the right door, it is still ahead. It has your name on it. And when it opens, you will understand why all the others had to close. Trust the locksmith. He knows which doors are safe to enter. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear that their closed doors might just be divine protection. And if you would like more stories to light your path, subscribe and join our family. Until next time, remember, your story is not over. The best doors may still be ahead.